Hello viewers and welcome to another match of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. My name is Mitch and I am the Hive Tyrant. Today we have the title game taken from our 2016 Russian Store Championship Series. On the right is Klim Petrov playing as Eldorath Starbane, while positioned instead to the left is 2015 Russian national champion himself, Vasily Gudkov, playing as Captain Cato Sicarius. The first planet for today's match is Taurus, the unit count-based reward planet, and initiative is held by the Space Marines. Deploy action 1 for Cato is to lay down a copy of Honored Librarian at planet number 1. For the cost of 3, it's a 1 command icon 4/2, and provided you've got at least 1 unit under your control not named Honored Librarian at its planet, it cannot be declared the direct defender against enemy attacks. On the Eldar end of our table, looks like Eldorath is attempting to build up and fortify or establish his early game economy with a copy of Incubus Warrior at planet number 2. That's a 2-cost, 2 command icon 3/1 warrior trait unit. And it's interesting and a bit telling that Eldorath doesn't have any 1 command icon units to put into play. He has to jump directly to a 2 command icon option. It's sitting at Farron, the Route, a non-warlord unit planet, and therefore there's kind of a sterling target for Cato right there. Cato could show up, he's got initiative, he might be packing in an Indomitable for protection, he could kill the unit, gain a resource, deny that 2 resource bonus of Eldorath. But again, economy building. Planet number 5, we've got an Earthcast Technician by Cato. It indicates he's allied with Tau, and the ECT there is a 1 command icon, 1 cost, 1/1 that drew a copy of Promotion and added that to Cato's hand. At planet number 3, we've got a unit rather similar to the Honored Librarian, same cost, same stats. It's the Iand and Wraithguard, but it swaps out that defensive ability for the powerful shield-ignoring Armorbane keyword. The Iand and Wraithguard, after a promotion, is now affixed to that Planet 5 ECT. The Wraithguard briefly gains a same Han jet bike, and then an Exterminatus annihilates it. So it looks like Cato was trying to buy himself a bit of deploy time, installing for that Exterminatus. And that's already 5 Eldar faction resources flushed down the toilet. So Eldorath normally has a bit of a command lead over Cato, and now let's see what happens. That ECT at 5 is sitting at 3 command icons. That would be a damn decent target for Eldorath, especially considering planet number 5 is Eluith with a 2-card bonus and its battle ability that fetches an additional card. Planet number 2 wouldn't be the worst destination in the world for Cato, just so he can clear out that enemy unit, and wouldn't you know it, that is exactly what our planet's players do. So, planet number 5, Eldorath shows up, exhausts that 3 command icon ECT. Cato shows up at 2, trumps that Incubus Warrior. Planet number 1, the Honored Librarian, is going to end up winning a card and a resource for Cato. Planet number 2 is going to be a couple of resources for Cato, and planet number 5 is going to be a couple of cards there for Eldorath. So our players are playing rather quickly indeed, but planet number 1 is going to be captured by Cato. That's a red and green icon added to his victory display. Planet number 2, that was Cato takes a swing, same Han jet bike is discarded as a shield, the Incubus Warrior survives, it attacks in response, Cato takes 3 points of damage, we came to the end of the first combat round, the Incubus Warrior retreats to Eldorath's HQ, and then at planet number 5, Eldorath took a swing, we saw a shield card used to preserve the fragile life of that ECT, unless I'm gravely mistaken, and it as well. Farron's battle ability routed the ECT, so Eldorath didn't actually have the opportunity to destroy it, but Eldorath did win a battle at Eluith, and therefore he looked at the top 3 cards of his deck, picked one of those cards, and added it directly to his hand. So no idea what it is, but hopefully for his sake it was something good. So our HQs are pretty full. We've gone through an HQ phase. That's 4 resources, 2 cards for each of our fast-playing players here. Initiative is now under under the possession of our Eldar player, and we've got a red and a green icon in Cato's victory display. So if he picks up planet number 1, if he picks up planet number... Well, let's see. Let me rephrase that. Planet number 2 and 3, he'd be able to win the game doing that. But looks like that may or may not be the case. At planet number 1 for another 3 resources, Eldorath puts into play another copy of the Iandon Wraithguard, no same Han jet bike on this one, which would have allowed our initial Wraithguard to relocate itself to a different planet that matches the type icons of its current location, and further, it would have been able to deal damage to army units to boot. So we've got a 4/2 Armor Bane naturally possessing initiative at the first planet. For the cost of 4, we see an Imperial Fist's Devastators hard cast by Captain Cato Sicarius. It's a 4/3 with 2 command icons. Had Cato deployed it at a blue technology icon possessing planet, he'd have had the opportunity to destroy a target support card with the location trait, but there are no eligible targets, and I suppose I'll be curious to see what exactly happens here. If Eldorath shows up at planet number 1, he'll not only maintain initiative, but he'll also be able to exhaust a unit, so that Imperial Fist Devastators outside of Indomitable or something along those lines, it's looking like it's maybe Cato pissing away 4 resources, but let us see what exactly is happening. Worst case scenario, it's 2 command icons versus 1. Slith Mercenary at planet number 5 is purchased by Captain Cato Sicarius. It's a 1 cost, 2 command icon, 2/2 warrior trait unit, and either player can purchase control of it for 2 resources, so it looks like Eldorath puts it into play. Cato immediately purchases it, and then we see our Eldar player pass. So Eldorath shows up at planet number 5, which is Ossus 4, the Steal a Resource planet. The Slith Mercenary that was bribed is now tapped. Planet number 5 is going to be a couple of resources won by Eldorath. Planet number 2, Cato's destination, is going to be a card and resource for Captain Cato Sicarius. Planet number 1 is going to be a couple of resources there for our Space Marines. So interestingly enough, planet number 1 is going to be Eldar with the opportunity to attack first. No idea if we've got Indomitable or not, but a battle won at that planet is going to afford Cato the opportunity to rout a target non-warlord. Note that at planet number 2, we've now got a copy of Honored Librarian and ECT showing up with Cato, and planet number 5, of course, Eldorath brings that Ignis Warrior in tow. So the Wraithguard attacks, kills the Imperial Fist's Devastators, no Indomitable, but we see a Drop Pod Assault. I was wondering if we'd see that or an Eager Recruit. DPA is going to be used, and now let's see. All right, that's going to be a copy of Honored Librarian. It's going to have an opportunity to attack for 4, and outside of the signature attachment mobility, Eldorath is going to be totally out of luck when it comes. All right, I guess I spoke too soon. I was going to say he wouldn't be able to shield enough against it, but he instead uses Archon's Terror, so Archon's Terror routes the Honored Librarian from that planet. No additional actions by either player into the combat round. All units ready. The Iandon Wraithguard now is going to have a combat turn with no enemy units opposite. That is going to be Iandon Wraithguard capturing that planet. GG, battle is won, and Honored Librarian at planet number 2 is also going to be routed, and now, yeah, okay, that is indeed going to be the case. So Cato, next round, is going to be bringing up to 2 Honored Librarians with him wherever he goes, but now at planet number 2, there's going to be a battle uncontested. Cato there is going to be able to trigger Planum, and he's going to be able to move an Honored Librarian. So is he going to move it to set himself up to possibly win a battle at Planum or Boundless, or instead is he going to maybe sillily go on the offense and attempt to hunt down Eldorath? He's got another couple 2 resources, or he has another couple resources with which to fund an additional Drop Pod Assault, or a couple Eager Recruits, and Eldorath used up his 2 resources on Archon's Terror, so he's no longer got a sufficient number with which to use Gift of Isha, which could have recurred the dead, discarded Iandon Wraithguard from play. So looks like Planum is going to result in an Honored Librarian, once routed, return to Planum, And I guess there's no place like home here, so Eldorath at planet number 5 is going to go ahead and take a swing. That's going to be a single point of damage dealt to the Slith Mercenary. Into the combat round, Eldorath naturally possesses initiative. That is going to be the Slith Mercenary retreating, so that's going to be another unit in Cato's HQ there. We're going to go through another HQ phase here. We're going to be seeing our 5th and final new planet. It is the healing planet Iridial, so that is going to be interesting indeed. Our players each collect 4 resources and draw 2 cards respectively. Unfortunately, it seems like Vasily has yet to change up his enormously tacky and tasteless sleeves. Cannot encourage anyone to use sleeves like that at a friendly local gaming store type environment, but initiative is once again in the possession of our Space Marine player. And if he manages to win planets 1 and 2, that's going to be the game for him. And in regard to planet-type icons, Eldorath currently has a red material icon in his victory display, but that is not going to be good enough to win him the game. He's going to have to start pursuing alternative means of victory, because even if he wins our last planet, Iridial, that's not going to be 3 red icons, but if you win a battle at the last planet, you basically win the game, so there's always that. But planet number 1, we've now got an Honored Librarian and that ECT ready to fight off the Eldar. Planet number 2, we've got our core set, unique, loyal Space Marines faction army unit, veteran brother Maxos. He's 3 cost, 2/3, 2 command icons. You can pay the cost of a Space Marine unit in your hand to put it into play at his planet, so you can reinforce the planet mid-combat, which is great. Cato collects resources mid-combat. The more of those you get, the more units you can put into play. It's like 2 peas in a pod right there. It's like peanut butter and jelly. It's like, gosh, I guess egg and banana made into some sort of protein waffle. So let's see. At planet 3, we've got a Void Pirate. So a 1 cost, 1 command icon unit plus 1 card bonus. It's going to be very tempting for Cato to show up at that planet to try to shut off the 3 cards that unit is potentially going to be accruing. And at planet number 1, now we've got a copy of one of the Warlord friends dropped off by Eldorath. That is going to be a 2 cost, 2/2, 1 command icon, Bloodied Reavers. It's a vehicle that's not war gear eligible, but if a Warlord shows up, it's going to have the ability to attack for 4. The only problem with that is that if Cato shows up, he could have that Honored Librarian attack for 4 first. So Cato isn't going to want to send his Warlord outside of his earliest possible victory condition, which is planet number 2, and Eldorath has a little bit more free reign here. So Eldorath is going to be bringing a copy of Iandan Wraithguard with him wherever he does decide to go. If he goes to planet number 1 and Cato doesn't, Eldorath is still in a kind of crap position because he's got to chew through that ECT before he can get to the marrow within the bone, which is that Honored Librarian, but he could show up at 1, exhaust the Honored Librarian, and it looks like that's going to be the case. So Cato is going to show up at 4, which is a green planet, which could be a victory condition for him, and Eldorath goes to planet number 1. That's going to be an exhausted Honored Librarian, and that's going to be very easy for Eldorath to potentially win at that planet. So I'm curious to see how things are going to go here. Planet number 1 is going to be a card and resource for Eldorath. Planet number 2, thanks to the timely arrival of a Slith Mercenary, is going to be nothing for either player. Planet number 3 is going to be a whopping 3 cards for our Eldar player. Planet number 4, where Cato has arrived, is going to be a couple of resources for Captain Cato Sicarius. And now, planet number 1 being Planum means that Eldorath might be able to relocate either his Wraithguard or the Bloodied Reavers to planet number 4, and then Cato could be driven away by the Incubus Warrior attacking for 3, with another unit that could attack for 4, or Armorbane 4. Cato could be driven from the planet, the Slith Mercenary could be killed, or control could be purchased. That Honored Librarian could easily be destroyed. So 2 resources remain for Eldorath, 4 resources in total for our Space Marine. Are we going to see card effects like the Fury of Sicarius, Drop Pod Assault, Eager Recruit, Crushing Blow, all sorts of different stuff? Indomitable, various ambushing effects. It could be anybody's at this point, and of course, for the Eldar player, we could see another copy of Archon's Terror, remove one of these pain-in-the-ass copies of Honored Librarian, or we could see Gift of Isha return an Iand and Wraithguard to play, and a 4/2 Armorbane unit is certainly nothing to scoff at, outside of the context of having a pocket Indomitable or 2. So we're going to have a battle at planet number 1. Eldorath has managed to successfully steal the initiative, just like in the tabletop game here. And it could be Eldorath attacking, killing that ECT, and I suppose if Eldorath attacks, doesn't manage to kill the ECT, then that'll be the Bloodied Reavers forced to attack into the ECT. But if that's kind of the case, like, I guess we could see a new combat round, and Indomitable could protect the Honored Librarian. There's still plenty of damage that our Space Marine could do, depending on what kind of events and ambush units are in his hand. And Veteran Brother Maxos, they're sitting at 2. It's going to be interesting as well. And speaking of Veteran Brother Maxos, for the cost of 3, we see one of the signature army units, Sicarius' Chosen, being put into play at Planet 2. Its ability is when it's put into play, you can pick an enemy enemy army unit at an adjacent planet. You pull it over so that Bloodied Reavers is vacuumed over to planet number 2, just like Scorpion says to get over here. The Bloodied Reavers is now pulled from 1 to 2, and its delta point of damage in the process. Eldorath attacks that Earthcast Technician, and Primal Howl is going to be discarded to preserve it. So that is an expensive shield, Primal Howl, to protect an ECT. But it looks like at the end of combat there, I guess I must have missed if an Indomitable was Okay, sorry, so it looks like we saw the end of a combat round, then there was an attack, the ECT was finally killed, the Honored Librarian killed the Iand and Wraithguard, Eldorath took a swing, dealt a point of damage to the Honored Librarian there, so my apologies for being ever so slightly confused. Planum is going to result in the relocation of the Incubus Warrior from 4, Cato's planet, to 2, which is going to block off our Space Marine player already had his earliest possible victory condition blocked. Cato doesn't have anything to kill, so Cato is potentially going to be, triggering the battle ability of Ossus Force. That's -1 resource, possibly, for Eldorath, +1 resource for Cato, and going through an HQ phase, that's going to be 4 resources and 2 cards for each of our players. So there's no new 5th planet. In fact, there are only 4 planets remaining on the board. The initiative is now naturally in the possession of Eldar. So Klim has Eldorath holding our initiative token here. So what exactly are we going to be seeing? If Cato wants to win this one, he's going to be able to win planet number 1 and 3, or 3 and 4, and those will be green icons, allowing him to win. Eldorath could pick up 2 and 4, or 1 and 3, whether he wants to win through blue or green icons respectively. So let's see what exactly is going to be happening here. Eldorath is still at a significant resource disadvantage. He's not going to be able to purchase control of those Slith mercenaries anytime soon, unless Vasily is a damn fool with his resources. But at planet number 4, we've got a copy of the 1-cost, 2-command icon, 1/1 warrior Bealtan Guardians. So just like the Incubus Warriors and Slith mercenaries, be on the lookout for Shuriken Catapult. But let's see what exactly is going to be happening. 4 resources for Eldorath, 6 resources for Cato. So Cato's got to be being pretty mindful of Slith Mercenary. Here at planet number 1, under contest currently, is Boundless, the forced random card discard planet. It's a 2-card bonus planet, and it looks like it's a total of 5 command icons by the Eldar player. Thank you, by the way, Vasily, for spreading those out, making it even easier to discern. 5 command icons for Eldar, and a mere 3 command icons for our Space Marine. So, what is it going to be? Currently, our Eldar player is doing a fair bit better in regard to command. Cato is halfway to being bloodied. When he does, he becomes a paltry 2-5 without any ability whatsoever, and it looks like Cato is finding his decision-making in between a bit of a rock and a hard place. It's almost as if an immovable object has struck an unstoppable force, if I remember back to my World of Warcraft Alterac Valley days. But filling the time commentating here, it's all going to come down to what exactly are we going to be seeing. Eldorath is in a decent enough position at planet number 1. I guess Cato is going to be hoping during the command phase to just draw a bunch of units that he can put into play to fortify planet number 1. But looks like planet 2, we've got another copy of the signature arm unit. Sicarius is chosen, so they drop into play. They reel over Bealtaine Guardians from 3 to 2, and now let's see if we have a shield card discarded or not. Yes, the answer is going to be a promotion is discarded, and that preserves the Bealtaine Guardians, though. That is 3 command icons versus 1. And that planet is still being won by Eldar. So interesting that we see a Sicarius is chosen again, played at 2, and that's going to be moving an Incubus Warrior from 3 to 2. Do we have another shield card? That's another 2 cost, but 2 command icon unit, and I'll be really curious to see how this all ends up going for our player. We've got Maxos and the Sicarius is chosen does manage to kill that Incubus Warrior, but it's still 3 command icons versus 2. So let's say if Cato shows up at planet number 1, he'll be able to attack, but he's opposite Incubus Warrior, Bloodied Reavers. There's a reasonable likelihood that he could take some damage unless he's got shield cards and Indomitables in hand, so maybe Cato's going to be cutting it pretty close, and he'll spare himself from being bloodied. Maybe it's worth the Warlord being bloodied at this point, just to crush his opponent at planet number 1, to attempt to remove the Eldar's ability to win that card bonus. But if Eldorath shows up at planet number 1, Eldorath could exhaust a 2 attack value Space Marine. Cato shows up with the exhausted Honored Librarian. So there's just a lot of fascinating stuff that could happen here. Eldorath uses this opportunity to purchase control, regain control of his Slith Mercenary, and now 2 command icons trumps 1, and Eldorath is immediately going to be gaining the 2 resources he invested in that unit. So where are we going to be seeing our Warlords? I think if both players send their Warlords to planet number 1, then things are going to go all the way bad for Cato, because if both Warlords show up at planet number 1, that's going to be 3 planets worth of command struggles won by Eldorath, and that's going to be nothing for Cato, and he's not going to have any resources with which to fund effects like Veteran Brother Maxos. So Eldorath is going to be showing up at planet 3, and same with Cato. Eldorath exhausts another Honored Librarian, and now it's going to be Eldorath and Cato fighting one another, and there's a Slith Mercenary assisting Eldorath, and Eldorath naturally has initiative. So, unfortunately for Cato, that's planet number 1 is a couple of cards for Eldar, planet number 2 is 3 cards for Eldar, planet number 3 is 2 resources for Eldar, and planet number 4 is nothing for either player. So, planet number 4, we've got a 3-1, a 2-1, and a 2-2 that are going to be able to attack Veteran Brother Maxos. What better time than when he doesn't have any cash in Cato's coffers there? So let us see. 2 2-3s versus some hard hitting, but alright, that's a copy of Fury of Sicarius discarded to make sure it's only 2 points of damage to Veteran Brother Maxos. Now he's going to be able to attack. Is he going to try to kill? Yes, the Slith Mercenary. No, he's going to go for the safer kill which is a Bloodied Reaver's Gift of Isha is discarded. It survives. It's going to be able to attack. It only has the opportunity to do so for 2, but now Veteran Brother Maxos is going to be killed. Sicarius is chosen. Are you going to... Okay, you're going to try and kill the Slith Mercenary, but are you going to be punished? Yes, a copy of Foresight is going to be discarded, and therefore that's only 1 point of damage. It's very much alive. Slith Mercenary attacks in response. 2 points of damage to the Sicarius is chosen. Sicarius is chosen retreats at the end of the combat round after Eldar decides not to retreat. That's going to be a forced random card discarded from Cato's hand. What exactly is it going to be? That's now 2 green strong point type icons in the victory display of our Eldar player. Blood Angels Veterans is going to be discarded by Cato, and that hurts. That's a 3/3 for 3 with a command icon, and provided it remains ready, unexhausted, you can potentially, mitigate a whole lot of damage. So, looks like Iand and Wraithguard is going to be brought back into play, courtesy of a Gift of Isha. It swings, and that is going to be a bloodied Captain Cato Sicarius. So Cato is sent packing to his HQ. He's now a 2/5 with no ability. And now, those Honored Librarians, those poor Space Marine bastards, both of them are killed. That's 2 cards, 6 resources, flushed right down the drain. Eldorath does a bit of a, well, I guess I'd say it was a combo breaker, but he's the one pulling out all the combos there. So, thanks to initiative, thanks to some exhaustion type effects, thanks to the bloodying of the Space Marines Warlord, things are looking pretty grim for poor Cato. Planet number 1, as we go through another HQ phase, and each player gets 4 resources, 2 cards. It's looking to be rather inconsequential, seeing as how neither player can end up winning the game on that planet. So maybe Eldorath decides to lose it, maybe he doesn't invest anything else in it. At this point, Eldorath is going to want to build up his forces at planet number 2. Like, first of all, Eldorath is going to want to commit himself to planet number 2 to drop off those 3 units. All he has to do is make sure that he holds off deploying a bunch of combat units to planet number 2 until after Cato drops below the threshold to play Exterminatus, because you don't want to expose yourself to taking that kind of risk. At planet number 3, we've got the Resource Brother version of Void Pirate, Rogue Trader, played out by Eldar. 1 cost, 1 command icon unit there. And speaking of units that are immune to Exterminatus, we see another unique unit. It's the Veteran Brother Maxos analog, the Eldar core set unique loyal army unit. It is Spirit Seer Erithal, so he is nullify eligible. He's a 2 command icon, 2/3. When he's declared an attacker, you can pull a point of damage off of a friendly unit like that Slith Mercenary or even your Warlord. We go to the command phase. Cato shows up at 3 to kill off that Rogue Trader. And to no one's surprise, Eldorath goes to planet number 2, so planet number 1, 3 command icons means that's another 3 cards for Eldorath. Planet number 2 is a couple of resources for Eldorath. Planet number 3 is going to be a card and a resource for Cato. Just a card for Cato. He doesn't control the Rogue Trader, and that's going to be an opportunity for him to win at that planet. Looks like moving rather hastily, both of our units are destroyed from planet number 1. Those Sicarius is chosen, managed to mop up. Then we come to the end of the combat round. They ready. Cato does have the opportunity here to look at the top 3 cards of his deck, pick any one of those cards to be added to his hand. He's going to add a blue technology type icon to his victory display. And now we're going to be seeing a battle here at planet number 2. That is going to be a chance for Eldorath to steal a resource away from Captain Cato Sicarius, who is, it's looking like he'll be able to kill that Rogue Trader unless we see 2 shield value card discarded to do that. And the answer is no. So we see a stolen resource, we see a killed Rogue Trader, and I apologize, I was thinking in the past. Cato is bloodied, therefore he doesn't have his abilities, so he of course does not generate a resource token from destroying that Rogue Trader. So I guess we came to the end of a combat round. That was an opportunity for Sicarius' chosen to retreat. Then Cato readied. He had a combat turn. There were no enemy units. He, of course, wins that battle, and he healed I'm not sure if any of his units were damaged or not, but he had the opportunity to heal. We've gone through another HQ phase. This is likely going to be our very last very last round of the game here. 4 fresh resources for either player. Lots at either player's disposal, 2 additional cards. Eldar at this point has drawn a whole hell of a lot more cards than it has Cato. At planet number 2, that is going to be a rogue trader for another resource, potentially to fund effects like Archon's Terror. I believe we're maybe fresh out of Gift of Isha at this point. Planet number 1, we see a Tactical Squad Cardenas, 2 cost, 1 command icon, 1/3, area effect 1, and that could really crank up the pain on poor Klim Petrov there, so hopefully Klim has got his tarp ready just in case he shits the bed at the last possible moment, but something tells me he's likely got a copy of Archon's Terror in hand. We'll have to see. But planet number 2, played by the Space Marine, that is going to be a copy of Vasily Trailblazer, 2 cost, 2 command icon, 1/1 with a mobile keyword, and then we see a copy of Promotion on that Rogue Trader. 3 command icons is of course greater than 2, so that's still looking to be a card and resource 1. To the right by Eldorath, planet number 1. We've got a copy of Blood Angels Veterans, 3/3 for 3. It's sitting there looking pretty, but Eldorath is going to be able to show up to exhaust that if he's not already going to be exhausting the Tac Squad Cardenas. Both of our players during the command phase send their warlords to planet number 1. We've got a Starbane's Council of that planet. It's also a 3/3 for 3 and a command icon. When it attacks an exhausted unit like the Blood Angels Veterans, it does so with a +2 bonus, and the Blood Angels Veterans defensive ability is ignored. Eldorath has got initiative. It's going to be his opportunity to attack first, and he's got an Archon's Terror, so 3 signature army units in position. They're all exhausted. Tactical Squad Cardenas is killed by the Eye-End and Wraithguard. There's no Indomitable, and that about gets rid of Cato's chances right there. So Tac Squad Cardenas is dead. The Vasily Trailblazer attacks after mobiling from 2 to 1. Nullify is discarded as a shield. We see 2 points of damage dealt to Cato. Cato takes a swing. Incubus Warrior is destroyed. Starbane's Council takes a swing. It looks like Captain Cato Sicarius. We see a 2-value shield card discarded, but that doesn't do enough, so Fast and Furious there at the end, but that is going to be 5 points of damage out of 5 hit points. Captain Cato Sicarius has been assassinated, and that is going to be the game right there. So we've had the handshake what feels like 30 to 45 seconds ago by now. GG, congratulations to Klim Petrov for winning our store championship. So it took a hell of a lot of time to get these matches out. I very much thank you for bearing with me. I appreciate everyone's patience, but a tremendous congratulations to Klim Petrov for managing to pilot Eldorath Starbane from the beginning to the very end of this tournament. He managed to beat Vasily Gudkov, the 2015 Russian national champion, so it was not easy going, but he ended up winning in a pre-vehicular manslaughter meta. This was prior to drone defense system, but even without the use of Wild Rider Viper and drone defense system, it looks like Eldorath can still get the job done. So our Space Marines are in an increasingly rough spot once we move beyond the planetfall cycle into Death World, and it looks like even a national champion could not withstand the onslaught of Eldorath here, but thank you, as always, my dear viewers, for checking out another Conquest commentated match here. Look forward to more of these to come eventually, and as always, it's an honor to continue to put out videos for each and every one of you. So a huge thanks to Klim, to Vasily, to the rest of the Russian meta, and especially to Pavel Ilyichev and Anton Elizarov for interacting with me, for sending in these videos. But if you enjoyed this content, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the share button so that more and more people are exposed to Conquest. If you want to get in touch with me, I'm the Hive Tyrant on Facebook. I'm also on Twitter. If you ever have any inclination whatsoever to support my ongoing endeavor to continue to cover all things Conquest LCG, I'm also on Patreon. But in any case, until next time, thank you so much for watching, and once again, be sure to check back in again soon for much more Conquest LCG content to come.